Hello children, so I am back with another video. Now this video is going to be a continuation of the previous video. So let's revise some contents which we did in the previous video. Chapter is Cell, the unit of life, in which we have studied first what is a cell, then we have studied the discovery of microscopes, we have studied the cell theory, and then some few aspects related with the cell like how numerous the cells are, how small the cell is, and then also we have studied few shapes of the cell according to their functions. So let's talk about today's class. Today we are going to study the structure of a cell. So children, this is a model of a cell. So children, when we talk about the structure of a cell, in our body we have different kind of cells, but still the basic structure is same. So when we say structure of a cell, we talk about a generalized structure of a cell. Now children, when we say generalized structure of the cell, that is what we can see under the microscope, that is the compound microscope. So the the basic structure we can see under the microscope, that is the cell membrane, the cytoplasm and the nucleus. So like our body has the different organs and they perform different tasks for us, they have a particular shape. Same way the cell has different organelles present inside, which are known as little organs. They also have a definite shape, they have a definite structure and they have a definite function to perform. So let's talk about them one by one. So here I have a cell with me. So first of all, let's talk about the first cell organelle, that is the cell membrane. You can see in this cell that the outer covering, which is reddish in color, you can see, which is covering the whole cell, that is known as the cell membrane. As you can see, this is the outermost membrane. This cell membrane has a very tiny pores in it and it is semi-permeable in nature. The function of the cell membrane is to allow only certain substances to pass through it, that is the solutes and the ion, and that quality is due to the presence of these very tiny pores in it. Then we come to the second organelle, that is the cytoplasm. Inside the cell, the yellow part which you all are able to see is the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm contain all sorts of cell organelles in it. Inside the cell membrane, excluding the nucleus, whatever is filled inside is known as cytoplasm. Cytoplasm has all sorts of inorganic and organic matter in it. The function of the cytoplasm is to perform all the metabolic activities inside the cell. When we say metabolic activities, children, metabolic activities means all sorts of chemical reactions. And then cytoplasm also help in the respiration. The first step of respiration takes place in cytoplasm, that is the formation of pyruvic acid. Then we move to the next cell organelle, that is the endoplasmic reticulum. Here if you see near the nucleus, you can find a tubular form of a network that is known as endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum could be of two types, that is the rough endoplasmic reticulum and the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. The rough endoplasmic reticulum is due to the presence of the ribosomes on it. Now this network starts from the cell membrane and it continues inside till the nuclear membrane. So this is the endoplasmic reticulum. The function of this endoplasmic reticulum is to give a framework to the cell, and secondly it also helps in the synthesis of proteins and fats. Then we move to the next cell organelle, that is the mitochondria. Mitochondria is very important part of the cell. It is a sausage like structure. If you can see inside this cell, you will be able to see the structures which are sausage like structures. This structure is a very special structure of a cell because it has its own DNA and ribosomes. The function of mitochondria is the second step of respiration takes in it, like we've studied that in cytoplasm the pyruvic acid is made. Then this pyruvic acid goes to mitochondria and breaks down into energy in the form of ATPs. It releases energy also and it stores energy also. Secondly, mitochondria also secretes the respiratory enzymes. So whenever our body requires energy, we use the energy in the form of ATPs, which are released by mitochondria. So that is why we call it a powerhouse of the cell also. So next are the Golgi apparatus. Now these Golgi apparatus are known as Golgi apparatus in animal cells, and in plant cells they are known as dictyosomes. So these are flattened sac-like structures. Secondly, they have the vesicles, the tubules and the vacuoles. The function of these Golgi apparatus is to synthesize the enzymes and hormones, and very especially in animal cell they also form the acrosome of the sperm. Now next are lysosomes. If you see the cytoplasm inside, you will find the circular bodies inside the structures. Those are lysosomes. These lysosomes are bubbled from the Golgi apparatus and they are membranous sac-like structures. Very especially these have 40 kinds of enzymes present in them. Since they have 40 kinds of enzymes in them, that is why they take part in the intracellular digestion. Intracellular digestion means, children, the digestion inside the cell. And also they perform the activities like if any foreign particles enter inside the cell, they digest it also. If at all the cell worn out, it becomes old, then they have the power of digesting the whole cell itself. So that is why we call them suicide bags of the cell. Now, if you see the cytoplasm again inside the yellow part, you will find another circular bodies which are smaller than the lysosomes. So these are ribosomes, granular, and they contain RNA, made up of RNA, dense RNA, and you will find that these small particles are also attached with the endoplasmic reticulum, making them rough endoplasmic reticulum. And the main function of these ribosomes is protein synthesis. Now what is protein synthesis? Our body is made up of protein. Proteins are our building blocks. So when we take the nutrients from the food in the form of protein, carbohydrates, proteins we take in the form of amino acids, and these amino acids, when they reach to your cell, the cell decides, these ribosomes decide that in which form they have to be used. So they synthesize the protein. Children, we are doing the organelles which are present both in plant cell and animal cell. So moving on to the next one is the nucleus. When we talk about nucleus, nucleus is the main part of the cell. If you see this model, you will find in the center you can see structure, which is the biggest structure present inside the cell, the largest structure, and a very important structure. Then secondly, the nucleus has a nuclear membrane around it. This nuclear membrane also have tiny pores in it, so that the material can easily, any cell material which has to enter inside the nucleus can easily move in and move out. Inside nucleus is a very small spherical body that is called nucleolus, and the thread-like structures present inside the nucleus are the chromatin fibers. So these chromatin fibers are very important part of the nucleus, because these chromatin fibers during the time of cell division, they become condensed and they become chromosomes. Chromosomes which carry the hereditary material from the parents to the offsprings. Now what are the carriers of these hereditary materials? They are attached to the chromosomes which are known as genes. The number of chromosomes could be different from species to species. Like if we talk about human being, we say that the human beings have 46 chromosomes in their nucleus. That means 23 pair of chromosomes. And when we talk about other species, like if we say cat has 38 chromosomes in its nucleus. So I will be sharing the picture or a table where you will find that some species how many chromosomes they have. So the chromosomes do not decide the hereditary characters. The genes which are attached on the chromosomes, they decide the hereditary characters. Because if you go through the table, you will find that there are 2-3 organisms like cat is there, tiger is there, they have same number of chromosomes, that is 38. But that doesn't mean that they are going to have the same hereditary characters. So these are the chromatin fibers which are present inside the nucleus. One more thing which is present inside the nucleus is a spherical body which is known as nucleolus. Now this nucleolus helps in protein synthesis again, and it also stores the RNA in it. It also dictates the ribosomes for the protein synthesis. So children, till now all the organelles which we have studied are living organelles. Now the organelle which I am going to tell you is non-living organelle, that is the granules. So these granules are present inside the cytoplasm in the form of particles. They can be in the form of crystals or they can be in the form of droplets. So when we say plant cell, the granules will be of starch. When we say animal cell, the granules will be of glycogen and fat. Why? Because you know that the plants store their food in the form of starch. So these granules contain the starch, and the animal cell store their food in the form of glycogen. And the fat granules are basically for the food of the cell. So these are the cell organelles which are present both in plant cell as well as in animal cell. So to sum up, the first one which we have studied was the cell membrane, then we have studied about the cytoplasm, then we have studied about the endoplasmic reticulum, then mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, lysosomes, ribosomes, nucleus, chromatin fiber, nucleolus, and at the end we have studied about the granules. Now let's talk about the cell organelles which are present only in plant cell. So to go further, the first one is the cell wall. The cell wall is present only in plant cell. It is the outermost layer in the plant cell surrounding the plasma membrane or the cell membrane. Secondly, this cell wall is freely permeable and it is made up of cellulose. Now, the main function of the cell wall is since it is outermost, so it provides the rigidity to the cell, it provides the shape to the cell. Since it is freely permeable, so it allows all the substances to pass through it. And main function of the cell wall is protection. This cell wall is a non-living part of the plant cell. Next are the plastids. Plastids which are found only in plant cells. So there are several kinds. The most common ones are chloroplast, which contains the green pigment which is known as chlorophyll. They are double membraned, proteinaceous matrix, and they also contain DNA. They are disc-like structure called thylakoids which contain the chlorophyll. So here I will talk about few plastids, different kinds of plastids. The first one are the chromoplast. Chromoplasts are basically responsible to impart color in plants and flowers. Like pigments they have like xanthophyll which gives yellow color, carotene which give orange and red color, and which also help in pollination of the flower and dispersal of seeds. Then second types are chloroplasts which are green in color. The main function is to trap solar energy for photosynthesis. You all know photosynthesis, that the plants make their own food with the help of sunlight and water, that is known as photosynthesis. Then lastly there are leucoplasts which store starch, and leucoplasts are colorless. Next cell organelle are the vacuoles. Children, vacuoles could be present both in plant and animal cells. Animal cells में vacuoles are very small, but in plant cells the vacuoles are quite big. So they are clear spaces with water or other substances in solution. Plant cells have larger vacuoles and they are covered with a covering which is known as tonoplast. The function of these vacuoles are storage of water and other substances like food, pigments and waste products. Now here when we talk about pigment, the vacuoles can have anthocyanin pigment which gives purple color or bluish color to the fruits, vegetables or flowers. It also gives turgidity to the plant cells by pressing against cell wall. So these were the cell organelles which are present only in plant cell. So one more cell organelle is there, that is centrosome, which is present only in animal cell. Centrosome is a region surrounding the centrioles located near the nucleus. It contains one or two centrioles. Centrioles are surrounded by radiating microtubules to form a star-like structure during cell division. The function of the centrosome is it initiates and regulates cell division, and it also forms spindle fibers with the help of asters. So children, these were the cell organelles which we have studied right now. We have studied the cell organelles which are present both in plant cell and animal cells. Then we have studied the cell organelles which are present only in plant cell, and centrosome which is present only in animal cell. Now we will study the difference between the plant cell and the animal cell. This is very important for your exam purpose also. First of all, we will see the structural difference. First is the cell wall. The cell wall is present only in plant cell and it is absent in animal cell. Secondly, centrosome. Centrosome is present only in animal cell whereas it is absent in plant cell. Then we have studied about the vacuoles. The vacuoles are very large in plant cells, whereas in animal cell, if present, they are very small. Then there are plastids. Plastids are present only and only in plant cell, whereas they are absent in the animal cell. Then when we talk about the quantitative difference, first of all the size of the cell, the plant cell in comparison of animal cell larger. When we talk about cytoplasm, cytoplasm is denser in animal cell whereas it is less dense in plant cell. Then comes the arrangement of the cytoplasm. In plant cell, since the vacuoles are too large in the center, that is why the cytoplasm is shifted towards the periphery. Whereas in animal cell, the cytoplasm is it occupies the whole area inside the cell membrane. Now the next topic is protoplasm. Now what is protoplasm? Protoplasm is the living matter of any living cell, including the cytoplasm and the nucleus. So inside the cell, whatever is the living material, that is known as protoplasm. It is translucent and somewhat grayish in color. It contains all sorts of organic and inorganic material in it. The scientists are so far not able to find more about protoplasm, because if you take out protoplasm from the cell ceases or the cell die. So children, there are two types of cells. One is the prokaryotic cell and the other one is eukaryotic cell. So let's talk about the eukaryotic cell first. Now eu means true. Eukaryotic cells contains a true nucleus. True nucleus means the nucleic material is inside a membrane, that means they have a nuclear membrane. So animal cell as well as plant cell, they come under the category of eukaryotic cell, that is the true cell. Then the next one are the prokaryotic cell. Prokaryotic cell means the primitive cells. Primitive cells do not have a well-defined nucleus. When we say do not have a well-defined nucleus, that means the nucleic material is in the cytoplasm. It does not contain the nuclear membrane around. They have a nucleic material, but it lies in the cytoplasm. The example of the prokaryotic cell is the bacterial cell. So to understand it better, let us go through the difference between the eukaryotic and prokaryotic cell with the help of diagrams. Prokaryotic cell nucleus is not well defined, whereas in eukaryotic cell the nucleus is well defined. Prokaryotic cell has a single length of only deoxyribonucleic acid, that is the DNA, whereas in eukaryotic cell several lengths of genetic material, that is the chromosomes, containing DNA wound around certain proteins. Prokaryotic cells, they have a small ribosomes, whereas the eukaryotic cells have a larger ribosomes. Prokaryotic cells, no other cell organelles are present in them, whereas in eukaryotic cells several organelles like mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, chloroplasts, etc. are found. Few examples of prokaryotic cells are bacteria, blue-green algae, that is cyanobacteria. Eukaryotic cells are euglena, amoeba, and all plants and animal cells. So children, after studying the structure of a cell and all the cell organelles, we can define the cell as: the cell is the basic structural building block of living organisms consisting of protoplasm enclosed by a cell membrane with an additional cell wall in plant cells and having a nuclear membrane or without it. So children, here we end with the chapter, that is the cell unit of life. Just to sum up, we have studied in this chapter that what is a cell, we have studied the discovery of microscopes, then we have studied about the cell theory, we have studied few aspects of cell like how numerous the cells are, how small the cell is, then the shapes of the cell. Then very importantly, we have studied the structure of a cell and also the difference between the plant cell and the animal cell. Then we have studied about the protoplasm, that what is protoplasm. Then there are two types of cells, that is eukaryotic cell and prokaryotic cell. So children, out of all these topics, the most important topic in your chapter is the cell organelles present inside the cell. So you have to learn about all the cell organelles and very specifically the functions of all the cell organelle. And to study these, I will be sharing the table which is given in your books. And at the end of this video, you will get a very small assignment which you must go through it, you must solve it so that you will be able to revise the chapter well. So, stay safe and happy at home. Thank you.